You're listening to Healing Wisdom. My name is Pandora Peoples. Today, Healing Wisdom speaks with George and Charles Clements of the Clements Brothers, a twin folk duo who's performing today, September 18th. And then we're going to speak with Lou Antonucci, who is talking about You, Me, and Harry, happening Saturday, September 20th. And lastly, we're going to talk with Taylor Fox about his group art show up at the 204 now through the 30th of September.
Dreaming of day jobs, then draining the wine, putting all our hopes on the child for the time. But she saw our little eyes. She'd say, it's easier said than done, love.
So welcome George and Charles Clements of the Clements Brothers. You're going to be performing this Thursday at 7 p.m. at Pres Hall. Doors open at 6:30 and tickets are available at wellfleetpreservationhall.org. Your music is so sweet. Your vocals are sweet. So tell us what you have in store for us at Pres Hall for your concert on Thursday night.
What we have in store is, it's going to be a musical journey through lots of different songs that we love. Some of our own songs, some of our favorite songs by other artists, but it's going to be an acoustic show, so there's nothing electric. I'll be playing acoustic guitar, Charles will be playing upright acoustic bass. And, I think something that really our fans and the people who like our music really resonate with is blood harmonies, which is something I think really is at the centerpiece of our show. Is both of us sing almost on every song, whether it's in unison or in harmony. I think that's a real signature sound of our show, is that vocal blend that we have as brothers, and along with just really clean guitar playing and clean bass playing. We've practiced our instruments a lot, so I think there's a degree of high proficiency on our instruments that will also be kind of showcased during the show. And Charles, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, sure. You said we've been described as folk rock, and I think the album we made is very much folk rock, but the duo show that we do, I think it's pretty folky. It pulls from a lot of different styles, because George and I have been involved in a lot of different music scenes, the classical music scene, the jazz music scene, the funk music scene. We've had a lot of different bands, the bluegrass music scene, of course. We were in a bluegrass band for 8 years. So I think all those influences and tastes show up in our music, and which is why I think people like it, because it's a bit of a variety show. There's a lot of different styles of music, and it's a bit of a musical journey, like George said.
You've evolved together in terms of your, being able to work together, and you described your harmonies as blood harmonies, or which I hadn't heard the term, but it is true when you think about siblings singing together. There's always this it's almost like an ethereal harmony. Like there's something so in sync and so resonant and so heartfelt that it's just not that usual. Especially men singing together, maybe. It must not have always been exactly like that, right, when you were kids?
Yeah, I think as kids we were playing instruments together all the time. We took piano lessons together when we were 6. And we would do duets together, and so there was this kind of shared listening, like deep listening to what the other person was doing. And I think that's the core at any musical experience, is how well you can listen to the other person and kind of sync up with their rhythm, with their dynamics, because then it does sound like just one expression as opposed to multiple expressions. And I think the fact that we're identical twins, there's that added level of genetic similarity. So we're working with similar instruments as our bodies, and who knows if twins are really telepathic, but it certainly feels like it sometimes when we're on stage. where we'll make the same mistake at the same time, or Charles sings the wrong lyric and I sing the wrong lyric at the same time, or vice versa. I'm not saying he's always the one singing the wrong. um, certainly it happens to me just as much as him. So, I think we're very used to and comfortable and trust each other musically. I think that's a big element of any relationship is trust. And I certainly trust him on stage and when we're in the middle of a show to express his musical sensibilities in a way that I find enjoyable and the way, hopefully I reciprocate.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah, I think George hit it when he said, it's like it's been just learning to listen to each other better. I think twins are like totally primed for projection and assuming a lot. And I think in any relationship, that's what you're up against is blame, shame, all the things we do to kind of not take our own responsibilities for our own experience of the moment. So it's we've had to grow in that, and our evolution in that, I think, directly mirrors our evolution in terms of our being able to play together and really like listen to each other and then co-write together and building a studio together. All these things are growing all at the same time. Our relationship deepens, the music deepens. We both have our own individual identities, and then we've had this shared identity has always kind of centered around music. So it's kind of a cool little nucleus to kind of little spaceship to ride through life and always return to. And it's not without its challenges, but it's full of its own rewards.
Change this if we're drowning in
our father was a self-taught guitarist and singer-songwriter himself, and he wrote 50 songs. And my mom is a trained musical theater actress, singer, dancer type. And they had a duo together, actually, as folk singers in the 70s and cut their own record. And so they were, in a way, we're kind of living their unlived dream of being folk music musicians professionally. They tried, but then my dad found his talents in the children's book world. He wrote close to 50, 60 children's books. So yeah, my mom is, and both of our parents were extremely encouraging of all things music growing up, whether it was getting us an instrument to practice on, or getting us lessons, or enrolling us in, jazz band or choirs. Music was important to them, and they saw how much we took to it and loved it, and they were extremely encouraging when I said, I don't think I'm going to go to a normal college. I think I'm ready to go to art school and really spend a lot of your money on getting better at this obscure thing called music that people seem to really enjoy. So yeah, Charles, do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, they're incredibly supportive, and my mom still comes to our shows. My dad did too. He passed in 2019, but was incredibly proud and supportive of us. Yeah, they've always said, try to do what you love first, and they were always very supportive. Yeah.
So last question is, what's your favorite musical memory?
I've had multiple moments. It's hard to isolate one on the spot to say is my favorite. I do, one thing comes to my mind that was really just a special moment. We were in Colorado at a festival, I think in Colorado Springs or Buena Vista, somewhere in the southern Colorado. We were there with the Lonely Heartstring Band, and there were all these artists I really liked at this festival. There were the Milk Carton Kids were there, Sierra Hull was there. It was like this cool festival to be a part of. And I just remember at the end of that festival, the Milk Carton Kids closed it out, and they called a bunch of musicians on stage to do what's called a cluster pluck. And they played The Old Home Place, which is just a classic, simple bluegrass song. But I remember, just being on stage with these really amazing musicians and the energy there. And like, for me, it was a highlight, just being like, wow, it's all about community. And, sometimes you always have this doubt in your mind as a musician, like, have I arrived? And that was one of those moments where like, this is an arrival of sorts. And it felt really good.
I would say also a musical highlight with the Lonely Heartstring Band. We got to go to New Zealand 3 times and tour. And there were some just performances in these little halls on different parts of those islands that were really stand out. One, I think, the Taupo Bay, one of these bays with this little house, and we were staying with folks right up the hill where you could like look down at the coast and just coming down the hill, and as the sun was setting, kind of playing in this little hall for all these New Zealanders packed to the gills. The place was just packed, and those little halls, little wooden halls filled with very appreciative people and putting on a great show is like kind of nothing better.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, the Wellfleet Preservation Hall is looking forward to having you there. So thank you so much for speaking with us today on Healing Wisdom on WOMR.
Of course. Cool. Thanks for having us, Pandora.
81 years along in his life, living alone at the top of his mountain, tending his gardens where no find him, planting his flowers one at a time.
We're joined by Lou Antonucci, who is going to be performing You, Me, and Harry at Pres Hall on the 20th. Tickets are available at wellfleetpreservationhall.org. So Lou, tell us about your show and how, you've been touring with this show. I'd love to hear about what you're going to be bringing to Pres Hall, but also
Mhm.
Also, just how this whole thing started and how your relationship with Harry Chapin's music began.
Well, really, it began when I was when I started college, and I was playing as a singer-songwriter. I was writing a lot back then, and my big idols at the time were James Taylor and Jim Croce and Crosby, Stills and Nash and Harry Chapin. But I took more of an interest and liking to Harry's music because of what it is, because of the story songs that he would put together. Um, they always seem to touch, some emotional nerve with a person. People can relate to his stories, and some of them are based on truth. Some of them he completely made up, but they really carry you along. And his persona was such that, and what really, I think impacted me and my performing and my songwriting was, it was not about him being a great vocalist or him being a great guitar player. I think I probably fall in those two categories, but it was about his connection with the people in the audience. And I can see that, now when I do these shows. Over the years, I followed his music. I was pretty much devastated when he, unfortunately, passed away way too early in an automobile accident. But I did get to meet him. I got to meet him in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, at a concert he had done at what was at the time called the Stanley Theater. It's now the Benedum Theater in Pittsburgh, and actually spent a good bit of time with him, just chatting, talking about music, mostly talking about his humanitarian efforts and wanting to, fight world hunger. So got to know him there. We never really kept in touch after that. I do keep in touch with some members of his family now, and some members of his band. His band still does tour with Tom Chapin, so I keep in touch with them. They've seen the show. I have their support in doing the show. But about 3 years after Harry died, I had gotten the idea to do this show. Now that was back in 1982, I believe, 82, 83. And or well, 80, it would have been 85. I think he passed away in 82. I could be wrong with the date. I'm horrible with dates. And actually it had gone down the road pretty much of building this tribute. It was more of a tribute show. It's going to be a much bigger one-time show than what I do now. And had contacted his family and his family attorney, and they wouldn't give me permission to do the show at the time, which was understandable. They said, "Look, when the time is right, we're going to do our own tribute," and they do still do like a yearly, or involved with a yearly tribute thing that they do. So that was 40 years ago. But through the years, I got out of performing live, and I worked in high tech, worked with a large software company. And then about and I'd continue to write, but not really perform. Then about 4 years ago, sold the company, and luckily I was able to retire early. And I said, you know what, I'm going to go do this thing. And so I decided to go ahead, and I want to do this special show dedicated to Harry's music. Now, if you'd ever seen Harry in concert, he would do either concerts with his band or he would do them solo. And I had seen him do many times both of those. So my show is really built around Harry would do a solo performance. And that's why it's called You, Me, and Harry, because it's just you, the audience, me, and Harry's music. And but I don't try to look like Harry. I don't try to sound like Harry. but I just try to make that connection with the audience with his story songs. So that's kind of how it all, so then I put together the show. I've done it at a number of venues over the last 3 years. It keeps growing in terms of expanding my audience and I'm moving more and more out of New England now with the show, and just enjoying every minute.
Any final words on your performance? We're looking forward to seeing you at Pres Hall on September 20th at 5:00. The doors open at 4:30, and it's going to be a great show.
Yeah, no, just very quickly, it's a very engaging, intimate show, very much in tune with the audience. I get the audience involved. If they're Chapin fans, they'll be singing along. They'll be having a good time. So, and I know there are going to be some Chapin fans there because I've already heard from them on Facebook that they're going. So, it's just that. It's just me and the audience and Harry's music. And I also have a number of little backstories that go with the songs. A lot of things that people don't know about Harry or about how some of his songs were written. So that makes it kind of interesting, I think, as well for the audience. So it's great. It's not only great for Harry Chapin fans, it's great for just music fans or people who want to just go see live music. I've had so many people tell me when they leave the show, I didn't even know who Harry Chapin was, but now I'm a fan. And so, that means the world to me when I hear that.
Yeah, what else could you want? That's fabulous. Well, Thank you so much, Lou, for being with us today.
Thank you. Can't wait till the 20th. See you then.
See you then.
All I can see is the darkness. All I can feel is the sadness. All I can hold are the memories thrown on my wall. The passion gives way to indifference. The anger gives way to acceptance, and love gives way to the emptiness here in my soul. Time washes over me. Time passes under me. It's turning me over and over again. And over again. And over again. And over again.
Hello out there. I'm very pleased to be speaking with painter Taylor Fox today, talking about an art show that you all should go and see that is up right now at the 204. It's called Familiar Faces, and I'd like to welcome you, Taylor. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you very much for having me, Pandora.
Yeah. So tell us what inspired this show and who is in this show.
Well, the show is inspired by the two groups of portrait painters that I have at my studio at the 204. And we had just been talking about it. The groups have been meeting for 3 years, and the Thursday group for 3 years, the Wednesday evening group for about a year and a half. And it was just, wouldn't it be awesome if? And so the if has happened. And I guess we kind of decided to make it happen this spring and reserved the library, they call it, which is also the event exhibition space at the 204 for this show. and it's running through the month. And really excited about it. There's 21 artists, that's including me, in the show, and I think there's like 50 odd pieces. Each artist has mostly 2 or 3, some 4 even. A couple only have 1 because they come more infrequently. There's a lot of regulars, and I felt that they should have more pieces, more wall space. So we're all excited about it.
Awesome. And
Yeah.
as a model who sat for one of your groups, it was so fascinating to see everyone's different perspective and take, because of course every artist has their own style and technique, and it's interesting how they all capture different elements of whoever sits for them. And I'm sure that that's always like a really fun part of the end of any session.
And so each painter will maybe choose something that they see within you, or find something within you that another person doesn't get, and obviously it's their own style and technique.
So can you talk about your group sessions and how that came to be?
I guess the group was inspired by several things. First, I love painting portraits, and I know other people do too. I was highly influenced by Paul Schulenberg, who has a figure group in Eastham, and I've been going to that for almost like 15 years. And so he kind of had the format for it, and I changed it a little bit, where I know that selling figure paintings and portraits it's a hard sell in a sense, unless you're like super famous or whatnot. And so I felt like it was a really good idea to persuade my friends and family in the initial to sit for a portrait, and I would have my friends come paint along with me, because that's what we like to do. So that was kind of the initial start of it, and then it became wider spread, friends of friends, and 1 degree of separation. It's a narrow land and all that. So it's evolved from there. We just try to find anyone around who will sit for a portrait, to be honest. But like anybody, and it's great to have whoever wants to sit. I inquire like at Pres Hall when I saw you last time. Once again, John, if he would sit, because he's super interesting. He's an artist. He's talkative, and he wears a really nice tie, and no one has ever worn a tie before. A bow tie, but not a tie. Anyway, likeness, I think, is my intent, and a lot, if not all, the other intentions that the other artists have. We want it to be representative of the person in our own way. That's the only way we can do it, obviously, and that hopefully will carry into the enjoyment of first, the sitter seeing themselves reflected in the painting, and also it's recognizable to others. And at some point, I like to see the Instagram posts that I have and my friends have who paint with me as just a documentation of folks who are around, who we know, who are doing things on the Cape, who are Cape Codders for the most part. And it's like it's a way of like slowing things down in a sense, and documenting for ourselves and the sitter, like taking a break, being like, okay, this is another way of like taking a picture, in a personalized format way, and it's just like a different take. And I've been doing portraiture for so long, and it's, I think everyone in the group is after that notion that we're trying to imbue someone's personality and likeness on a canvas, creating for nothing. And it's just kind of where it's at for us.
Well, thank you so much, Taylor, for joining us today. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to seeing the show. We've been speaking with artist Taylor Fox. The group art show Familiar Faces will be up through September 30th at the 204 Cultural Center in Harwich.
Let's go out and shine with the sun, 'cause the things that we're missing we'll find while we're drifting on a dandelion.